My former boss treated me like crap for 10 years. When I got a new job in the same organization as an auditor, I audited her department. I knew where all the skeletons were hidden. My new boss loved the expose. He knew and hated my old supervisor. If someone stands too close while talking, I stepped forward myself to make it awkward for everyone. My dad said during the pandemic if someone got too close, he'd cough slightly and people would back off. I was on a new team, helping another team lead manager, hoping he'd step up and do his part. He played a role in my demotion, so I stopped doing his work and focused on mine. He didn't like that. He complained to management and demanded a meeting about my lack of cooperation. I spent hours creating a 35-page report with screenshots proving how my team and I were doing his job, too. I sent it to my manager before the meeting and he cancelled it. The next week the guy was fired. It was my mom's move, but it taught me she's always on my side. In second grade, I switched schools, and two popular girls were initially awful to me. Mom threw a huge birthday party at the best place in town. Laser tag, bowling, mini golf, etc. Then sent me to school with invitations for everyone except those two girls. She said if they complained, I should say why would I invite people who don't like me? Guess who started being nice? I know we didn't have money for that party, but she did everything to help me adjust to the new school. I'm endlessly grateful. I had a colleague, not someone in management, decide she could find ways to save the company money for our chain of daycare centers. Her solution cut my hours from 40 a week to 30. Full-time starts at 32. She said she was going to call the head office and tell them about her plan because it was the most cost-effective and the best option for the company. When I said I would lose all benefits and would not be able to survive on 30 hours, she replied, "This is not my problem and not the company's problem. We need to save money." Well, she asked for it. That night, I drafted a professional cost optimization proposal. Key point eliminator position. I detailed what she actually does all day and showed that since her job isn't essential, eliminating it would save the company over $2,000 a month. The next day I gave a copy to the director warning that if she messed with my job, I would take it to the head office. The colleague began to tease me like she was already going to call, and then I just showed her a copy of my proposal. She tore it up, yelling I had no right. I shrugged, pulled out another copy of the bag and said that I had more at home, and the director had a copy ready for transmission. She burst into tears, stating that she needed this job and she cannot remain unemployed. I replied, "This is not my problem and not the company's problem. We need to save money." She finally left me alone, but the director kept my proposal for several years in case she had such ideas again. Don't mess with me. A boss who treated me like garbage for years took out a PPP loan. Business assistance during the pandemic, fudging documents and cutting employee hours, then bought himself a new car with the money. When I demanded to be paid the same as other supervisors, he refused, so I turned him in for the loan fraud. Please tell me this went somewhere. He had to return the loan. When I was in college and my 4 roommates were late paying for the shared internet, I enabled parental controls on the router and blocked their access to porn. More recently, while pregnant, if someone patted my stomach, I'd pat theirs back. A friend had a roommate who always delayed paying rent and utilities, so the friend limited his computer and console to dial-up speed on the router. The roommate went crazy, thought his equipment was dying. If I'm in a slow line and someone behind me stands too close, I step backwards, like I'm stretching or something. I intentionally bump into them. I repeat as needed until they get the message. The most was 3 times. Then the person finally gets it and moves away. One girl copied my science homework all 9th grade, threatening me if I didn't let her. Eventually, I just stopped resisting. On the day of the final exam, I saw the teacher handing out versions A and B and convinced her that we both had version A. Knowing she actually had B, I didn't just let her copy. I pushed the idea. She failed the exam and had to retake the course. One girl in school was always bullying me and trying to cause problems. Then I figured out how to piss her off. I slightly unscrewed the cap on her water bottle when she left it unattended. As a result, the bottle leaked right in her bag. She did not understand what was happening, even changed the bottle, but still could not figure out why it was flowing. She also hated coins. She was from a family of rich bastards, and I collected them and hid them in her pockets, shoes, books, etc. She was just going crazy from this, lol. In middle school, one kid kept throwing pencils at me. I turned around and threw a binder at him. Yes, I was sent home, but he never threw pencils again. This happened just a couple of days ago. A new girl in the lab stopped me. No hello, no, how are you? Just abruptly asked where Office X was. I started explaining. She works in another building. I don't remember on the 2nd or 4th floor. but and then she interrupts. Can you just answer the question? So I repeated the same thing word for word, but didn't say that X was on vacation. I hope she enjoyed the walk at 3 p.m. in the Florida sun. A long time ago, I worked reading water meters. The boss was constantly delaying my salary. Sometimes I had to go to his house and he lived out of town. In my wretched car and sit there for a couple of hours while he swims in the pool, just to pick up my check. I said I was quitting and then calling to find out where my last salary was. He was surprised as if I had offered to work the last month for free. This asshole played the fool and tortured me with the check for another month until he urgently needed me to take measurements again. Then he immediately gave me the previous check and the next one in advance. I went home, just fantasized all the readings and sent them. When he started calling me, I blocked him. My housemates went on vacation, leaving a huge mess in the living room. And they didn't say when they'd be back, even though they knew I had a baby shower planned for the weekend, which I'd planned months in advance. By mess, I mean scattered cans, bottles, literally garbage, plates, board games, cards, clothes, shoes. I just threw it all into their already cluttered rooms, and when they returned, they threw a wild tantrum. Then one of them changed the Wi-Fi password even though we all paid for it, but it was registered to her. Then I started turning off the router because the electricity was in my name. The other removed the thermostat from the wall because the gas was in her name. And I started turning off the machines that went to their rooms because the electricity bill was in my name. It came down to the little things. Every time after a shower, I even unscrewed the shower head, which I bought myself since they took the thermostat. In elementary school, I was a puny kid, so I was always bullied. One day I called my dad, my parents were divorced, and told him about it. He said, next time you see that freak, punch him in the balls as hard as you can. Mom was furious and strictly forbade me to do this. I still did it. He never messed with me again. In high school, I sat next to one of the school's football players. He was always a jerk. One day we had a test and he started nudging me, like show me the answers. I thought for a second and showed him. He copied everything. When we got our papers back, it turned out we both failed the test. I deliberately wrote it badly because I knew that I would correct the grade later, but he would not. He failed the course and his GPA dropped below the passing level, so he could no longer play football. My final grade was 4+, not a 5, but I don't regret it at all. If someone is talking on the phone at full volume in an inappropriate place, I start doing the same thing so that he cannot hear his conversation. I'm obsessed with cleanliness. Everything is always perfect at my house, but my neighbor didn't even clean up after himself, didn't even throw away a beer can when he went for a new one. I got tired of swearing, plus I lived in a student house with a dorm bias then, so I decided to act differently. I took all my things, dishes, pots, appliances to my room and just ignored the mess. I had order and the rest was not my problem. He didn't last even a week as he began to offer me to help with cleaning. Not to clean everything himself, but to help me. I made it clear that my territory was so clean and all the mess in the common area was entirely his fault. The last thing I heard about him, the guy has been homeless for almost 10 years. I once joked with my best friend that we'd get old and wrinkly. My boyfriend at the time butts in, "You're not that pretty now anyway." I replied, "I look much better than you, and at least I'm not fat." He got super offended, but like, why say that to your girlfriend? Then, a girl at school started spreading rumors about me. It got so bad I skipped school to avoid her and other parents, so I decided to expose her. I told the principal she cheated on the state Latin exam. I knew about it for years, but promised to keep it secret. When she started those rumors, I told the principal she gets the answers beforehand and memorizes them. They called the exam organizers and ordered a special version for her, adapted for learning disabilities with completely different questions and answers. That year, I got the gold medal and she didn't even make the awards list. Maybe I went too far, but she already had tons of medals she got unfairly. One failure wouldn't have changed anything.